So for our homework this week, we are going to go back to our line art piece that we created last week, and we're going to use some of the methods for coloring that we learned today. I want you to try different things. I want you to make sure you use the color fill for coloring. I want you to make sure you do some detailed coloring by selecting your color fill and then coloring over it with a different pen. I want you to also add some texture to a part of your drawing, and I want you to, you can, if you want to, you can also just color something by hand. So I'm going to demonstrate a couple ways for you to kind of make this easy on yourself and make it quick. Like I'm always saying, the big benefit of Procreate and digital art is drawing quickly, making detailed things, but making them quick. So I'm just going to demonstrate a couple ideas that you can try with your line art. But obviously I know yours probably looks different than mine, but as you remember, when we very first started talking about color fill, you might need to, if any of your lines have breaks in them, or if you drew with something that's not a hard pen, like ink, what is it called? The technical pen. I use that 100 times a day. I can't believe I couldn't remember it. If you didn't use a hard brush like your technical pen or the hard airbrush, you might need to redraw your outline really quickly. But just make sure you don't have any breaks or anything, any thin spots in your lines. Make sure that it's going to be ready for color filling. So that's step one. Step two, now this is a trick I use for coloring a lot. And what you're going to do, I'm going to actually I have my outline all on one layer. I'm going to make a whole bunch of copies of that one layer. So I'm going to swipe left and duplicate and just keep doing that. There's not really a set number. I don't really know how much I'll use for what I'm about to show you, but I'm just gonna, there's a few there of extra layers, okay? So I'm going to go on the one beneath the top layer. I'm gonna leave that very top layer alone. I'm not gonna do anything to it, but I'm on my bottom layer. So let's do my color fill part first. That's part of my homework. I need to color fill something. So let's just color fill all the parts of the roof black. So I'm gonna select black here, and I'm going to just oops, I must have had a place where my line was broken. Gotta figure it out. I gotta find out where. Maybe right there. Yep, that was it. See, it can be the tiniest little spot. So let me show you. Right there, this little spot right here, it doesn't even look like the line's broken there, but it wasn't letting me fill. So I just put a little dot there just to close off the gap, and now it lets me fill. And then this little part of the porch roof, okay? Okay, so I'm good on color fill. So now I need to make something a little more detailed color. So, but I want to color fill, but then use the selection tool to make it give it a less digital look. So I'm going to come up here to my extra lines, and I'm going to go to the layer right under the one that I just did the black roof. Okay. So you know what? Let's make this house have a bunch of wild colors. This is my house, and my house is brown, but I wish it had wild colors. So how about a teal? Let's make a teal. I'm going to, this big section, I'm gonna color fill in teal, okay? So I've got my fill. What I'm gonna do now is I'm going to select my layer just like we've been talking about. So my layer tools, hit select, and then I'm going to uncheck it, make it go away, and make a blank layer above it. So let's see. How about, I think charcoal. Well, no, how about, let's see. How about artist crayon? So I'm just gonna quickly shade in my teal Artist Crown. Now, what about, let's add some texture. Let's add some kind of like maybe shadow, maybe make it look a little bit like shadowy or even a little bit kind of grungy, like an old house. So I like that teal color, but now let's add some texture. So I'm going to go back to my layers. I'm going to make another new layer, blank layer above my teal layer. And yeah, let's go back to black. Let's make my color black. Now I'm going to go to charcoal. And first I'm just going to make it kind of like halfway down the house. And it's going to be kind of uneven. And I actually want this to be lighter, I think. So I'm actually going to knock back the opacity a little bit, add another layer, and then I'm just going to keep layering in a little bit darker and a little bit darker. And then down at the bottom, it's going to be really dark. So now this house has a whole different feel to it. It's almost like it's dirty, or, you know, just old, or maybe it's nighttime and it's very shadowy. So adding that texture, well, here, let's merge these together. I'm going to hit my options and put merge down because I just want the charcoals merged together. So look at the difference with and without the charcoal. Here we have this kind of really bright, bouncy house. Then add the charcoal. And now you've got, I don't know, to me it looks maybe like it's nighttime, maybe. It doesn't really look dirty to me, but it looks like it's nighttime. So now let's try a different effect on a different part of the house. So I'm gonna, I'm done with the layer where I color filled the teal. I'm done with it. So I can actually just get rid of it. Now I'm gonna go to one of my other available line layers, and how about let's do like a coral color, like a light orange, and let's fill in this section of the house. And then again, I'm going to do the color. I'm going to do a more natural look to the color. So I'm going to select it and then uncheck it and then make my new layer. What should we do? What should we try? Let's do spray paint. Let's see how it looks spray painted. Could add in spray paint, and then maybe we do the shadow thing again, but maybe let's try it with watercolor. So I've made a new layer, a new blank layer, going back to black, going to painting. There it is. Gonna select my watercolor. Now this is just a really small piece of the whole page, so I don't need a great big brush for this, but I'm just gonna, I minimize the size and just dabbing in some watercolor. And again, just like always, if I want it to be a little less, you know, if I want to lighten it up, I can bump back, go to my blend modes and bump back that opacity. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Like that. And then, so we're looking good so far. I can get rid of my coral fill layer. Not going to need that. Going to delete it. Now I'll go back down to another one of my available line art pieces. Let's see. What about dark green for this last hunk of the house? Maybe almost like a teal green. Yeah, I like that. Okay. So now I'm going to color fill it. And now I'm going to select it, uncheck it, get my blank layer. And see, this is just always my favorite part, figuring out what like effect I want to use. How about stucco? Stucco is one of the brushes that's here in painting. And stucco is a building material that's actually used on houses. So let's see how this looks. Oh yeah, that's kind of cool. I think it would be cool if I made it smaller. So yeah, that looks very realistic. But now let me make a new blank layer, go back to my black. I'm going to go back to my charcoal for this. Now I'm wanting to make it look like this section of the house is back much further. And I can do that with a pretty dark layer of shadow. So I'm going to bump it back a little bit, but not very much. I want it to be really dark. So now I'm good on color fill. I'm good on selecting color. I'm good on adding texture. Now I just need to add something just traditionally colored. So I'm just going to go to my pencils, pick a 6B, and maybe, oh, let's do this. Let's make all the windows dark. Maybe it's nighttime, except for one window will have a little light in it. And actually, I'll go ahead and just make the door dark too. And then the one little window up at the top can be yellow. It's got like a light on up there. And then one more finishing touch. We can go now up on top of my very top layer. I want this to be on top of everything else. I'm going to actually draw another shape of the window as if it's kind of reflecting. And then I'm just going to make it lighter. And let's mess with the blend modes on that a little bit. Let's see what we can do to make that look like it's light reflecting down. Normal might be best for this. Lighter color, that's kind of cool. That looks kind of cool. So it just looks like the light that's on in the window is like reflecting down on whatever's in front of it. So there you go. So this was just this incredibly simple line art house. And look how much interest and detail I added to this without even having to draw anything too difficult. But all the different coloring techniques made it really look cool in the end. And then, you know, I could go in and add a background, make it nighttime, which makes all the dark shadows make more sense. Add in some trees, make the shadows of the trees onto the house. So there's just all kinds of really cool, fun ways to use coloring in your Procreate drawings to enhance your art. And the cool thing about it is the more that you practice this on Procreate, the better your artwork overall will get. You'll get to where you can go back to drawing on traditional pencil and paper and you'll be like, wow, I am a way better artist than I used to be. So for this week, make sure you collect the resources that I've posted in the classroom, participate in the discussion on Flipgrid by showing us your artwork that you finished for homework, and ask any questions that you might have, anything you want me to show you again, or any questions that you've come up with, then just ask away on Flipgrid and I will be in touch. So I look forward to seeing you next week for our last course, and I am really excited to see your art. Thanks for watching. Bye.